Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to F1 Manager, episode 74. We're starting to get into a tricky situation as we are still a smaller team operating with a smaller budget that hasn't had enough recent history to have the team, feeding us a lot of money. But then we've been making those upgrades, and now the upgrades have stringed together that they're almost not quite there. They're just at that stage that with their recent performance, we don't get a lot of wind tunnel, which means we really need the facilities to help us out because our staff is only so, and our facilities were only so, and now we're really low on wind tunnel time. So keeping the car competitive is a tricky balance when none of those three key areas are good. And the one thing that was really helping us out was those upgraded facilities. But now, further upgrades are crazy expensive. All those upgrades that we did make are now starting to fall into upgrade needs, which I still think it's too often, it's too frequent that you need to update the facilities. Not by a crazy amount, but definitely too often. I mean, like the helipad needs to be updated like 3 times a season. Are you kidding me? What's the helipad gonna do 3 times a season? It's a concrete pad that a helicopter lands on. What about that needs refurbishing 3 times a year? But anyway, the wind tunnel is the latest, and here's the problem with the wind tunnel. It's $8 million to refurbish it, and it's gonna take 50 days. Or the last level upgrade, that's the logical thing, and that's what we've done most steps along the way, is if you hit that point of needing refurbishment, you might as well just hit the next upgrade because financially it makes way more sense. Especially, I mean, we're talking about significant amount of funding to go into that, but 27 million we don't have to get that wind tunnel, so we can't really afford to do either right now. We're gonna have to save up some money and we're gonna have to invest in it. But now the wind tunnel is hurting. We were waiting to do upgrades because we were waiting on the upgrades for the car part test center and for the suspension simulator to be done. The car part test center, less than 2 weeks away, and then we can go back into upgrading the side pods, the chassis, and the front wing. But now without the wind tunnel, we're in a lot of trouble. Factory's already down a level and a half, approaching 2 levels, and to have this one hit level 4, 14.5 million. Well, we can obviously afford that much sooner as we're almost there. Money's hard to come by. We're spending a lot on the upgrades when and where we can, but we're finally finding ourselves, or we're suddenly finding ourselves in a situation where upgrades aren't going to improve the car. They're actually going to make the car worse unless you're committing kind of all of your tunnel time to just 1 to 2 upgrades. Our hands are going to be tied on upgrades for a while, so just as we're getting the car competitive again, we're going to be in trouble for trying to keep it there. You can't just roll out upgrades for nothing when the input isn't good enough without tunnel time to add it on top of it. You're not actually improving the car, you're technically making it worse. We're going to be picking and choosing our upgrades. Things have suddenly changed. Now, the only good news about that, the only good news is if we're not rolling out 4 continuous upgrades, we're rolling out, say, 1 at a time or 2 at a time, that means we're going to save a lot of money. We're going to save a whole lot of money, which means the refurbishment / final upgrade stages are going to happen. We'll get to them sooner because we'll save some resources that we'll put into that. And we had a couple upgrades coming, and the first of those is the next underfloor one. That, from the looks of it, that might be the last underfloor upgrade we get for the year, or maybe just one more later on in the season. Last season, Circuit de Barcelona did result in a win for Albon and a 6th place for Pourchaire. If I remember correctly, Pourchaire had a pretty big mistake on that race that knocked him back, and that's why there's a big gap between Albon and Pourchaire. Spin out, ran wide, something that definitely had him at the time drop back a good 10 seconds, and then by time things had sorted out, he was quite a bit behind where his teammate was. He was a good 10 seconds behind Hamilton at the finish line. In Albin's case, he won the race by 4 seconds with second, third, fourth, fifth all bunched together running in a train at the finish line.
Formula One has cranked up the heat over Barcelona. The first Grand Prix held here was won by Nigel Mansell after a wheel-to-wheel battle with Ayrton Senna. But who will follow in his footsteps this weekend? Long straights and medium speed turns dominate here, but there's something else to watch out for at Barcelona. The air currents are strong and unpredictable, and they'll be giving aerodynamic components a real run for their money this weekend. At this early stage in the season, there are still plenty of opportunities for things to change. In this sport, there simply are no guarantees.
Into Q1, we've already got our banker laps in. Both of them were obstructed. Pourchaire definitely more so than Doohan during the lap, and we're still decent in terms of time frame. There's a handful of guys that are definitely down on time because of their run. Verstappen was actually the one who got in our way, and then we returned the favor on the next lap as he was actually doing his hot run. As we embark on our second qualifying lap on the same set of tires, one quick note: last race, if you remember, Pourchaire was crashed into, totally wiped out, DNF'd in that race. It also took some serious damage to the car to where pretty much everything, all of those car components were trash, including the engine, gearbox. The ERS took some hefty damage, but the whole car was in really, really bad shape. So you can see Doohan is still top 5. Pourchaire is hovering down near the bottom, but he's already got 4 guys locked in behind him. He just needs to be ahead of one more, and Latifi looks like a sure bet on that. So even if this is not a good lap from Pourchaire, he should easily be safe here in Q1. And there you go. He goes right up the order to 5th place, even on the U set. Since I started skipping FP1, sometimes the setup is easy to find. Other times it's been a bit harder. Basically, I'm losing a couple of sessions, but the AI at least gives you some feedback, narrows it down a little bit. So I'm kind of back to where it was like Season 1, where it can be challenging. The last setup run that I made was a guess. It was a bit of a guess. I was not quite there. The best I had found for both of them was a 90% prior. Final tally, Pourchaire, we ended up getting it just about right, 97%. With Doohan, it ended up being a mixed run. Some gain, some loss. So we actually ended up at 89% for him, and we're locked in because we're in Parc Fermé. Still not that bad. It's still better than what the AI does, but it's definitely not the kind of setup we are used to having. As both cars are heading out for their banker laps in Q2, we are using that same set that we used in Q1. We clearly have a car that's capable of a top 5, and therefore we can use that same set and then one fresh set. And on the fresh set here at the end of Q2, we're already fairly safe, but it's only about a 10th between us and the back end, so you don't take your chances. You can see how we're going right down the order. So we needed that clean run. Pourchaire just off the Red Bull pace. Looks like we could be heading, hopefully, for a Row 2 lockout. That would be a pretty good place to be. Red Bull's definitely quicker. I think they're still the favorite for the championship this year, and especially with the upgrade problems we're going to have the rest of this season with the facilities and wind tunnel time, etc. That combination is going to be difficult to keep the car upgrading rapidly. But if we can get ourselves into a best of the rest, second place comfortably situation, we might be able to make that run by next year for the championship. Being that we were some way off the pace of Red Bull, I decided the aim is second row, and therefore instead of using 2 fresh sets of tires, which would have been possible here for Q3, I decided we'll use our Q2 set one more time and then make one clean run, one stab at it, which I'm assuming is only going to be good enough for second row anyway, but that's going to save a set of softs for the race, where we hopefully have a better chance there of beating Red Bull than we do on pure pace alone here in qualifying. We ride with Jack Doohan as he begins his lap. He is actually well ahead of where his teammates at the moment. Pourchaire, who we got that start last kind of position, ended up with a lockup during his warm-up lap. Hopefully it doesn't impact him too much. He got the lap off in plenty of time. He's just a bit further behind. So with Doohan so far, again, we are on the fresh set for this one. Everybody else is on the used set. That's going to give us a little bit of an advantage. Quite a few guys, though, are going green sectors here. Sainz does not appear to improve his time. Verstappen definitely didn't improve. Leclerc might have. Russell is gone faster. And Doohan and Pourchaire both are weak in Sector 2. For some reason, everybody's a little bit off in Sector 2. We're the ones on the fresh compound. We should be improving our time. Doohan back ahead of Russell, but does not beat Pourchaire. So Pourchaire, last chance to get us. He's already on row 2, but get ahead of Leclerc. Leclerc stays P3. That's the next lap. Pourchaire does not beat him, so it's going to be a P4, P5 start for us. That was the thing we took our chance with. It ended up costing us potentially one position by not making 2 fresh runs, but we'll take that. I'm okay starting right behind Leclerc to have that fresh set of tires for the race and maybe see that play to our advantage in the race at some stage.
Welcome to race day. And before we get down to it, last-minute checks are being made.
Qualifying went well for Williams, as attested by their strong position on the grid. Now it's all about finding that edge for the race itself. This hasn't been McLaren's weekend so far, and they'll probably be disappointed with their grid positions. But after the lights go out, they'll have every opportunity to move up the field. And the sun is shining bright here today. This is perfect weather for teams and drivers alike to show us what they're capable of.
And there are going to be some tough calls to make in Catalonia today. So let's see who makes the best ones for the Spanish Grand Prix.
Aiming for a 2-stop strategy with medium, medium, soft, and all 3 are fresh compounds. So I'm really glad that we did save that set of tires, even if ultimately it did cost us 1 position potentially on the grid. The race itself matters so much more, and that couple laps of, few laps really, of fresh compound at the end of the race, I think can make a huge difference and not only get us back that individual position, but more so. Also looking at the expectation, the drop-off rate, it looks like you can get away with doing a little bit of push, but it's not like it used to be. Season 1 and into Season 2, where we were able to go more aggressive and outpace a lot of the other cars. It's not like that anymore, because now the drop-off metered. It's you know, you go from stage to stage to stage in pace dropping off, where before it was just kind of the one stage. You drop below 30%, you're losing pace, but at 31% you were going as fast as you were when the compound was brand new. But since that mid-season 2 and that big update that they put out, that advantage just isn't there anymore, and keeping the tires fresher longer matters more. So being aggressive isn't the kind of strategy it used to be, and conserving your tires can make a big difference.
As the sun continues to shine, it seems like nothing can dampen the mood of excitement here at the track. One of the oldest races on the Formula One calendar. This is the Spanish Grand Prix. And it's lights out and away we go.
And we are racing, but we are immediately speeding things up a little bit. Leclerc gets ahead of Sainz, but otherwise we, for now, are still 4th and 5th, side by side with each other. Well, let's go ahead and check in with compound. Sainz is on the softs. Leclerc back down to 3rd, Doohan ahead of Pourchaire. Russell on the softs. Magnussen. So you got quite a few guys on the front 2. Sainz and Russell did not have a fresh set remaining. Doohan got around Leclerc. Okay, while I was setting that up, Doohan had overtaken Leclerc. Let's go and see that one.
Now we see the Williams
just down
here.
The straight. Gets the inside for turn number 1. Continues on through 2 and into 3 and finishes the job. All right, well, that's what we want. We wanted to get ahead of Leclerc. So Doohan has managed to do so. And in the case of Pourchaire, he's having a look right now. Let's go ahead and be aggressive here and let him finish that job. And he does so from 3rd or 4th position. If we can keep up with the Red Bulls And if we're really lucky and can get away, I mean, we clearly have more pace than Leclerc. If we can get away and open that gap, this could be a comfortable day fighting for the top four. Bottas has, and the McLaren's way down in 12th and 13th. This track is not their track. And this is a great opportunity for us in the championship standings. Okay. Apparently I had to turn that back off after the pass. But with one McLaren 3.5 seconds back and Ocon hovering on that more than a second back, the trains are looking to form. And our group is definitely pulling a bit away from the this back end. Yeah. Triple negative where they're going to lose pace. It's going to be really tough on them. I think the medium soft was comfortably the better option. Gasly now 2.8 down, so front six are now pulling away. We're looking at 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds to Gasly. So that group has lost touch. The other group, 4.5 seconds back of that train, and the last 3 are a couple seconds further back. So it is starting to spread out even more, and we're on lap 8. I would have really liked if Russell and Leclerc would have fallen off, but that's okay. That's okay. Gasly now 5.7 back of the leader and getting further back. That gap is growing. Give away the position needlessly, and 8/10 down is not good. Okay, fuel recovery is happening very slowly here. Very, very slowly. We're going to have to keep an eye on that one as time goes on. I mean, we're only 1.6 down, but the recovery of that is happening at such a slow rate. %, on the tire wear. Let's check in on the others. We're looking at 65% for Sainz. Sainz, once he falls below 60, is going to start to lose some pace. Once that happens, we will think about trying to get ahead of him on track. For now, we're waiting for that scenario to start to play out. So let's see what happens once these guys get to 59%. Lap 13 now of our train, and then again that train is still back there, just around 5 seconds back. Bottas again losing further pace, now 4.5 seconds down. Overall to leader, we're almost a pit stop ahead of the back end. But we are up beside him with Doohan. Sainz has enough pace. The Red Bull has enough pace that even though he's below that 60% threshold, his pace not hurting. But he missed out on DRS this time. That's going to drop him back now 1.3 down. So Russell is going to fall off. Pit lane time loss is 24 seconds. So you need to be more than 24 seconds ahead as we once again get up beside Sainz. But let's keep that pressure on. Yeah, we'll see we're instantly pushing back up beside him. And again we tuck in. But I think we're going to get this overtake done here quite soon as he's starting to lose some pace. And Russell has definitely lost the train. Russell's more than 2 seconds back now. Multiple cars have crashed further back down the order. Please, local yellow only.
We can take a look now. Now have a watch of this. Looks like Ocon.
Ocon into the back. It looks like he's going to lock up and get into the out. Oh no, he's not. That is the AlphaTauri with the unsafe return to track. Nasty crash there. That's Vettel who did that. Now, Porsche. Russell, 4 seconds down. He's lost a lot. Those softs not
And
working
a
out.
new position, just gained by Williams.
We are up beside him already, but we're going to tuck in. Now, if we're lucky, we're entering our pit window. He's got to be pitting anytime here. As Doohan goes around, Verstappen takes the race lead. 44% for Sainz, Russell 51 for the other guys, and yeah, we're all in the 60s here. We haven't pushed, but yet we're still a little bit off compared to the others. First two cars pit, we just didn't see it. Joe, Ocon have both gone into the pits. They're coming up right on that gap. Right on that gap. We would like to get that a little bit further, because then you're looking at about... We're going to keep an eye on Sainz and where he comes out at. We are still a few laps away from pitting ourselves. In fact, that's going to be right to the back of the... It was the trio, one of them pit. So, behind two cars. Leclerc lost DRS. Lost DRS. He is now 1.4 back. 58%. Let's go aggressive.
We're happy to push on with the tyres.
We're into a new tire threshold that's not going to hit the new one before we pit. So if we can go aggressive and go a tenth of a second or 0.2 of a second faster each lap, then beautiful. It's only going to be a couple laps anyway, right? Albon into the pits. Perez behind Norris. Sainz has gotten around Ricciardo. So Sainz has passed Ricciardo, and then Albon has pit, so Sainz into clean air. But that was... And that's... Oof. Oh, no. Come on. Really? Doing. Full safety car. They wait until we're way down here. Verstappen wisely dives into the pits. I should have just dove into the pits, too. Oh, the safety car is going to pick me up. Man, oh man, Doohan has screwed us. I should have just gone straight into the pits, though. I should have gone straight into the pits.
Push.
We don't have a choice here. We are going to go for a change in our strategy. This is going to be our last stop of the race. That's the only option we have. We have to now somehow get ahead of everybody because of the safety car. We are to the back of the grid. We're going to go right to the back of the grid. Maybe not last because we're coming in from P1, but it's going to be bad. So instead of going mediums and then having to stop one more time later in the race, we are straight to the back. From second to last. And all because Doohan with a little lockup. But I should have known better. I should have just gone into the pits. It was only one lap early. But with no stops coming, that's our one chance. Traffic, though, massive problem. Hard compound, faster car. You can see we can still go forward as we get around Vettel. Beyond these back end trains, if we can at least get into the mid pack kind of train, the extra stop for everybody else is going to give us 25 seconds. Will get us back into this race for... I doubt we're going to recover for a podium, but maybe recover at least for some points today. Yeah, we got to close up that space. Oh gosh, there goes the front three.
And a new position,
way ahead. How did that happen? Schumacher, 5 seconds down. Has he not pit yet? He's on the hard compound. He and Ricciardo, they're holding the whole field up. That's good for me, not for a top 3 position, but that's good for me for a potential 4th position as we are now battling to go forward. And there's a bunch of guys into the pits. .0. Oh, we got it just in time. And we close that within 1 second. Just a fraction of a second.
Oh, we've had a spin.
Okay, so we got around Ocon. That's good. Guan Yu Zhou, Albon, you know, that's the harder one because these guys aren't going to be pitting again. All these guys on the medium are. They've all got to pit and put on softs. So the big thing is keeping in touching distance to Russell. Our target, our aim is now 4th. We're only 4 seconds behind Russell. He needs a 24-second advantage when it comes to that upcoming pit. So 4 seconds back is brilliant. We'll be 20 seconds ahead by the time those guys pit. They'll be faster than me at that point. Empty. How is it empty already? Man. He is not using the battery effectively here. We've got the inside track. Go back to neutral. Once we make this, if he completes this overtake. The Alfa Romeo only gets in there because the Alpha Tauri backed us up. But now we're sitting here struggling. There we go. Finally we get it in ahead. Back standard. Overall, 16 seconds down on the leader, just 3 seconds down on Russell. So we're closer than we were before. So we do have good pace. We now have Russell and Gasly trying to open the gap on Norris. That's not good for us, but again, with a pit stop to come, there's no way those guys are pulling away by the kind of gap that, you know, these three are. They might pull away a bit, but by the time they pit, we'll be well ahead of all of those guys. We still have one, though, don't we? Guan Yu Zhou. We need to get around him here at some stage. And at 71%, we don't have a lot left overtaking power, so we do want to pass Guan Yu Zhou here relatively soon. Our gap on him is just a couple tenths. And then again, decide to tuck in when we didn't need to. We were going to have a nice run through Sector 2. Here, you want to go to the inside. Inside, not outside. Fireware. And it's time! Here come the pits! Here come the pits! Let's get that run. We've got the run. We've got the inside, and we are ahead. We are ahead of the Red Bull. But like I said, I think we are going to ultimately be a sitting duck when it comes to those guys. But we have completed the pass.
Like
we now find ourselves 1.5 seconds down on Norris, Perez, and then Gasly leading this train. So Gasly is the one we are comparing our pace to. We've got to keep pushing that a little bit longer. We're almost below that 60% though, so the pace advantage is not going to last forever. Perez has been passed by Sainz and Verstappen, though he is not yet pit. Leclerc's going to come out just behind us. We are 1.3 down on that train already, as we couldn't quite keep up with the fresh set, soft, compound Red Bulls. It'd be nice if we can keep up with Leclerc. It would also be nice if Leclerc does not bring Guan Yu Zhou back into this, because he and Ocon are the guys that I am on the same strategy with. 0.4 on the fuel. And there goes Perez into the pits. We've definitely lost that train ahead, and I would imagine Leclerc is about to go up the inside, and he does. Can we keep up with him, though? That is the big test now. Can we keep up with Leclerc? Five and a half seconds to go, so we are driving away from them. So yes, that gap is going the right direction. It's the Russell one that you worry about more. But after the mistake, my mistake, that obviously started with the doing mistake, but after my mistake on not diving into the pits, knowing that I should have, common sense if you know the sport anyway, common sense, you go straight into the pits, especially when it's one lap away and safety car may come out. VSC may come out. That was the perfect time to pit, even though it was one lap early. I should know better, so that's totally on me. But after that mistake, recovering for a P4 is good. Russell, though, now just 2 seconds away from those two guys. How long will he hold them up? We're not going anywhere. Let's go ahead and watch Russell. Not quite done yet, and he does eventually get around. He is 8.5 seconds back. I think with 6 seconds, that should be enough. Joe into the pits. Norris is just over a second back. He's gotten around Ocon already. Could he be on his way up to us? 6.8. We just saw Porsche go around the hairpin. This time, 5.7. Okay, he only gained 0.8 on that lap. Is it because he is below? Oh, yeah, he's down to 47%. He's not going to catch us. We're at 37%, though. There goes Norris. Norris on 60%. Got to watch out for him now. Norris passed Russell. 5 seconds down. So now we watch from Norris's. 6 is the gap here this time. He gained more than a second on us that lap. 1.1 closer. But because of the previous lap was a 0.8, that was only 1.9 over the 2-lap stretch. Now 4 seconds back with 2 laps to go for Norris. Verstappen, Sainz, 3.7. Here's that backstretch. We'll check in this one last time here. It's down to, it's still 3.7. Still 3.7. So he only gains 0.9. That's it. Verstappen, Sainz battling it out. Battling it out for the race victory. It's a Red Bull 1-2. Unless they, I'd be grateful if they decided to take each other out here on this final lap. Porsche just crossing the start-finish line with a 3.2 second advantage over Norris. 3.2 seconds. But you can see how our ERS is quite low by the time you reach the straight. We've got just that little bit of fuel. Let's push. Okay, back up front. Verstappen pulling away from Sainz. Tire wear, better for Verstappen. He's probably going to win this. Team orders are typical of that team anyway. Leclerc, 6.5 seconds behind them, comfortably in third. He is rounding the hairpin right now. Porsche, not even anywhere near the straight just yet. 3 seconds to Russell, who's gone back around Norris. Russell got back around Norris. That's good because he's off the pace. 3 seconds down. Here is the back straight. Verstappen heading for the line. He will take first. Sainz will take second. Leclerc rounding the final quarter. Porsche has already passed the hairpin. They are not far back, but 3 seconds should do it. And that'll do it. That does finish a P4 for us. Like I said, those guys, the moment they had separation, I knew that there was no way we were going to beat those three. But to recover for P4 after being down in P19, that's a good recovery drive. That is a good recovery drive. That race could have gone better. Avoiding that mistake definitely has both cars competing for a top 4. I think quite comfortably. Having only one car in the top 4, having Leclerc ahead of us instead of behind us, less than desired. But Red Bull's clearly the quicker car, so wouldn't surprise me if they would have come away with the win on this one. But P4 is worth some points. A decent total. Norris managed to get into the points, so Porsche picks up 5 points. Norris is going to pick up 3, so we gain 2 on McLaren. We lose 1 to Ferrari. We're going to gain 1 on Mercedes, and Red Bull is going to start pulling away, I think, with the championship. Our battle is going to be for P2, just based on how strong that car is and how limited our upgrades are going to be for a while or throughout the remainder of this season. So Verstappen into the championship lead. Porsche is 5th, doing his 7th. The constructors, we remain in 3rd. And like I said, we close the gap a little bit on McLaren, now 9 points behind. That is going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.